Well, welcome back to Let's Discuss. Hey, today in our video, we're going to do a little follow up on the free speech video we did a couple of days ago. Um, and and the reason that we're doing the follow up is based on some of the conversations that I've had with some folks about free speech. And there's two things I thought we might cover today that are probably important, um, especially based on the video about our Constitution giving us the freedom to speak our mind, regardless of what our mind tells us to say. And what I mean by that is we can all agree again that there's some pretty visceral hatred things being said out there. But that brings us to the first point that I wanted to cover. And that is I got some feedback about, well, what is hateful? What is visceral? Because the definition of that is it keeps changing, right? So some people get their feelings hurt over the smallest things, and that's very true. I get my own feelings hurt over some of the things that I see in post. And so I want to reiterate one of the things I said in my previous video for everyone to consider, and that is, first, if someone is posting something that you really take offense to, um, first, choose not to participate. I mean, if it is something that in your opinion is hateful and totally inappropriate to say, you have the personal responsibility to not participate in their post, to not participate in their rhetoric. Because when you choose not to participate, you actually take their power away because they say those hateful things because they want a reaction out of you. So take the personal responsibility to just not participate. Ignore it. If it's a repeating situation where it's a friend of yours or something on Facebook and they constantly post things that are just terrible, terrible, visceral things, unfriend them. Don't give them the power to get a reaction out of you. That is your personal responsibility to do that. Okay? And then, there's, remember, they have the right to do it. If you have the right to state your opinion on things, they have the right to state their opinion. Just don't participate in it. And it's kind of like I used to teach my children, if it is absolutely okay to have a disagreement with somebody, and it's absolutely okay to debate your point of view with another person. Um, but you need to let the facts guide your discussion, or your um, opinion on your debate. Because once you start calling names, once you start uh, degrading someone as a person based on what they believe, well, you've lost your argument. Quite frankly, you basically cannot prove your opinion with the facts. So you're going to call names, you're going to degrade someone because you're lashing out because you don't believe the things that you're saying, or you can't prove the things that you're saying. If what you're saying has merit, if you want me, even if I don't agree with you, if you want me to respect where you are coming from and what your opinion is, well, then give me the facts. But if you're going to make fun of me, degrade me because of my point of view, but you have no facts to back up yours, you've lost the argument. You don't, you're just trying to get a rise out of somebody. You're just trying to hurt someone. You're not trying to help them understand some point of view that you have. Don't be that person. take the personal responsibility to let the facts guide your debate and debate all day long. We need to understand one another. We need to talk about these issues, but we can talk about opposing viewpoints without degrading the other party. So that's the first follow up item. The next follow up item is a little bit different, especially given my strong opinion on freedom of speech. And it comes from a discussion I had with my eldest about employers that um, either terminate an employee or threaten to terminate an employee based on some of their social media posts. Um, and so I want you to hear this out, and I do want your feedback on it. Okay. I absolutely believe that an individual has the right to state their opinion publicly, regardless of what that opinion is. However, when you go to work for a company, which in essence is another individual, right? Corporations are treated as individuals. So a corporation, especially these days, will have you actually sign an employment agreement that has clauses in it about what you can or cannot say on social media because that company doesn't want to be associated with a certain viewpoint, or they don't want to be associated with hate speech. And I get that. Um, I have run several companies, and if I had employees that were saying things that would make my company and my other employees look bad because of their point of view or because of the nature of the way they want to deliver their point of view, I should have the right to say, tone it down, or don't do it, or you are not part of the company anymore because that employee made the decision to be employed by that company. Okay. They have personal responsibility to live up to the employment agreement that they made with their company. Now, if a company is harassing all their employees and they're saying that they have to comment in a way that the company wants them to comment, and the employee doesn't agree with it, well, maybe the employee needs to look someplace else. And if that employer is harassing all of their workforce about their opinions on things, well, maybe the employees need to organize and fight back, or in mass leave the company, because companies shouldn't have, you know, sh- companies should not arbitrarily enforce rules on an individual's personal life that are unfair. But again, there is an agreement there. There's an agreement that the employer made with the employee. The employee accepted that agreement and needs to adhere to the terms of the agreement. So I know that sounds perhaps to some of you a little contradictory to my opinion of free speech, but you are free. As an employee, if your employer tells you you cannot post something or you cannot state your opinion on something, you are absolutely free to leave that company and go someplace else where they actually like your point of view or they don't have the same rules or regulations around it. But a company does have the right to ask that of their employees, and once the employee signs that agreement and agrees to those terms, they need to adhere to it, or choose a different employer. It becomes very, very simple. People have to take personal responsibility. They made the decision to agree to those terms, so they have to live up to their agreement and their personal responsibilities. What a company can say about employees' actions very different than what the government should have the right to say about a citizen's actions. And that's really where my point about free speech comes from or leads to. Government has absolutely no right to tell you that you can't have an opinion. They don't have the right to force companies to police your opinion, to delete your opinion because the government doesn't like it. Government doesn't get to judge those things. The government's only responsibility is to protect your right to say it, even if it's stupid. The government The government's only responsibility and right is to protect your rights to do it. And when the government, as it has been, steps over those bounds and starts criticizing, blocking, or eliminating your opinions, well, that's Orwellian. And again, you've heard me say it in other videos. If you haven't read the book 1984 or Animal Farm, you are doing yourself a disservice because the government's playbook comes straight out of 1984 these days. And um, trust me, read the book, understand what is happening to you and how the government is trying to control your lives. Don't let it proceed, and make sure you vote in November to keep the government from taking away more of your rights. Hey, I do hope that you all have a great weekend. I would love your feedback on this video or any of the others that I've posted. And let's chat some more, discuss some more topics next week. Take care. Have a great weekend.